What if I told you that your biggest breakthrough isn't waiting in your comfort zone? It's hiding in the exact moment you want to quit. That split second when your heart pounds, your palms sweat, and every fiber of your being screams run. That's not your weakness talking. That's your superpower trying to wake up. I'm about to reveal a mental technique that Navy SEALs use to stay calm under gunfire, that billionaires deploy before billion-dollar decisions, and that elite athletes trigger right before they shatter world records. But here's what nobody tells you. This isn't just about handling pressure. It's about rewiring your nervous system to crave what others fear, to get stronger when others get weaker. Once you activate this override, there's no going back. You'll either become the person who thrives in chaos, or you'll become someone who can't feel anything anymore. No middle ground. This isn't motivation. This is controlled psychological warfare. And if you're not ready to potentially lose parts of yourself you recognize, stop watching now. Because after this, your relationship with fear, stress, and pressure will never be the same. You won't just survive the storm, you'll become the storm. Listen, you're here because safe is suffocating you. You've tried playing it smart, avoiding risks, taking the easy path, and it's eating you alive from the inside. Every time pressure hits, you fold. Every time stakes get high, you freeze. Every time life demands more, you give less. And you're tired of being that person. The technique I'm about to show you is called stress inoculation, and it's not what you think. It's not about positive thinking or breathing exercises. It's about deliberately putting yourself in controlled high-stress situations until your nervous system stops seeing stress as the enemy and starts seeing it as fuel. But understand this clearly. Once you start training your brain to seek pressure instead of avoiding it, you fundamentally change who you are. Your friends might not recognize you. Your family might think you've lost it. Because you'll start choosing the hard path when everyone else takes the easy one. You'll volunteer for the difficult projects. You'll seek out uncomfortable conversations. You'll chase challenges that make others run. This is your final warning. This technique works so well that elite performers guard it like a state secret because they know once you master it, you become unstoppable. We're going to break this down into 3 phases that will completely rewire how your brain responds to stress. Phase 1 is the activation protocol, the exact steps to trigger your stress response on command and turn fear into focus within seconds. Phase 2 is the conditioning cycle, how to gradually increase your stress tolerance until what used to break you becomes what builds you. Phase 3 is the integration system, how to maintain this new power without losing your humanity, how to stay connected to others while becoming mentally bulletproof. But first, you need to understand why 99% of people will never even try this, why they'll watch this video, make excuses, and go back to their comfortable misery. Because deep down they're terrified of discovering what they're actually capable of. They're scared that if they unlock their real potential, they'll have no excuse left for the life they've been settling for. They'd rather stay weak and blame circumstances than get strong and take responsibility. So before we go any further, ask yourself this: are you ready to give up the luxury of being a victim? Are you ready to become the kind of person who doesn't just survive pressure, but actively hunts it down? Because once you cross this line, there's no going back to being ordinary. There's no returning to making excuses. There's no more hiding behind your comfort zone. The choice is yours. Stay comfortable and predictable, or step into the fire and discover what you're really made of. If you're still here, you've made your choice. Let's begin your transformation. Here's what's happening inside your brain right now that's keeping you weak. Every time stress hits, your amygdala fires off like a car alarm, flooding your system with cortisol and adrenaline. Your prefrontal cortex, the part that makes you smart and strategic, goes completely offline. Most people think this is just how humans are built. They accept that stress makes them stupid, that pressure makes them crumble, that fear makes them freeze. They're wrong. What elite performers discovered is that you can actually train your nervous system to flip this entire process. Instead of stress shutting down your higher brain functions, you can condition it to sharpen them. Instead of fear making you weak, you can program it to make you lethal. This is called stress inoculation, and it works on a principle that most people are too soft to accept. You have to deliberately expose yourself to controlled stress until your system stops reacting like it's under attack and starts responding like it's in its natural element. Think about it like this. A Navy SEAL doesn't become calm under fire by avoiding gunshots. He becomes calm by training in environments so intense that actual combat feels routine. A surgeon doesn't develop steady hands by avoiding pressure. She develops them by practicing life or death procedures until her nervous system treats them like brushing her teeth. But here's where it gets dangerous. The process of stress inoculation doesn't just make you stronger. It fundamentally rewires your emotional circuitry. You start craving what used to terrify you. You begin seeking out situations that would break normal people. The first phase is activation. You need to learn how to trigger your stress response on command. Most people wait for life to stress them out, then react like victims. You're going to become the predator of your own nervous system. Start with cold exposure, not a cold shower. I'm talking about ice baths that make you want to crawl out of your skin. Stay in until your body stops fighting and starts adapting. This teaches your nervous system that discomfort is temporary and controllable. Next, add time pressure to everything you do. Give yourself impossible deadlines. Force yourself to make decisions in seconds instead of minutes. Train your brain to perform when the clock is ticking and the stakes are high. Then comes social pressure. Put yourself in situations where you might fail publicly. Give presentations without preparation. Start conversations with people who intimidate you. Make your reputation vulnerable on purpose. The second phase is conditioning. This is where most people tap out because it requires you to systematically hunt down your biggest fears and face them repeatedly until they become boring. You're going to create a stress ladder. At the bottom are situations that make you slightly uncomfortable. At the top are scenarios that currently terrify you. You're going to climb this ladder methodically, spending time at each level until your nervous system adapts. But here's the part that separates the elite from everyone else. You don't just expose yourself to stress. You perform complex tasks while under stress. You solve problems while your heart is racing. You make decisions while your hands are shaking. This is what builds real resilience. Not the ability to stay calm when nothing is happening, but the ability to think clearly when everything is falling apart. The third phase is integration. This is where you learn to carry this new power without becoming a monster. Because the same neural pathways that make you unstoppable under pressure can also make you cold, calculating, and disconnected from normal human emotions. You'll start noticing that things that used to bother you don't anymore. Criticism bounces off you. Rejection doesn't sting. Failure doesn't devastate you. At first, this feels like freedom. But eventually, you might realize that joy doesn't hit as hard either. Love doesn't feel as intense. Victory doesn't taste as sweet. This is the hidden cost nobody talks about. The same emotional numbing that protects you from pain also shields you from pleasure. The same mental armor that makes you invincible can also make you isolated. But there's a way to maintain the power without losing your humanity. You have to consciously choose when to activate this state and when to remain vulnerable. You have to learn to toggle between being bulletproof and being human. The key is compartmentalization. In high-stress situations, you become the machine. In intimate relationships, you allow yourself to feel. In crisis moments, you activate the override. In peaceful times, you let your guard down. Most people can't do this because they lack the discipline to control their own nervous system. They either stay soft and get crushed by life, or they become hard and lose connection with everything that makes life worth living. You're going to master both states. You're going to become the person who can be utterly ruthless when the situation demands it and completely vulnerable when love requires it. This isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming emotionally intelligent enough to choose your responses instead of being controlled by them. The science is clear. Your nervous system is plastic. It can be rewired, it can be trained, it can be programmed to serve you instead of sabotaging you. But the process requires you to voluntarily go through hell, to seek out the experiences that most people spend their lives avoiding. To become comfortable with being uncomfortable until discomfort becomes your competitive advantage. Are you starting to understand why most people will never do this? Why they'll watch this video, nod along, and then go back to their predictable patterns of stress and reaction? Because this path requires you to become your own worst enemy first before you can become your own greatest ally. Now comes the part where you either prove you're serious or reveal you're just another person who consumes content without taking action. Because everything I've told you is worthless unless you're willing to start today. Here's your implementation protocol. I'm going to give you exactly what to do, when to do it, and how to measure your progress. But understand this clearly. The moment you start this process, you're declaring war on your current self. Week 1 is about establishing your baseline. You need to know exactly how weak you are right now so you can track your transformation. Take a cold shower and time how long you can stay in before your body forces you out. Give yourself 5 minutes to solve a complex problem while someone is yelling at you. Try to have a difficult conversation with someone who intimidates you. Record your performance. Write down how your body felt, how your mind reacted, what excuses you made. This is your starting point. This is the version of yourself you're about to leave behind forever. Week 2 through 4 is controlled exposure. Every single day, you're going to do something that makes you uncomfortable. Not slightly uncomfortable, genuinely uncomfortable. The kind of uncomfortable that makes you want to quit. Start your day with an ice bath, 2 minutes minimum. While you're in there, don't just endure it. Solve math problems, recite poetry. Force your brain to function while your body is screaming. This teaches your nervous system that discomfort and performance can coexist. Add artificial deadlines to everything. Give yourself half the time you think you need for every task. Force yourself to make decisions quickly. Train your brain to operate under pressure instead of crumbling under it. Seek out social rejection. Ask for things you're almost certain to be denied. Apply for jobs you're not qualified for. Approach people who seem out of your league. The goal isn't to succeed. The goal is to become immune to the fear of failure. But here's where most people self-sabotage. They start feeling progress and think they can ease up. They have one good week and decide they've arrived. This is exactly when you need to increase the intensity. Month 2 is about escalation. The things that stressed you out in week 1 should now feel routine. If they don't, you haven't been pushing hard enough. You need to find new ways to challenge your nervous system. Sign up for public speaking events. Volunteer for leadership roles you're not ready for. Take on projects that are beyond your current skill level. Put yourself in situations where your reputation is on the line. The key is progressive overload. Just like building muscle, you need to continuously increase the stress load to keep growing. Your nervous system adapts quickly, which means what challenged you last week might be comfortable this week. This is also where you'll start noticing the psychological changes. You'll stop caring about things that used to consume you. Other people's opinions will lose their power over you. Criticism will bounce off you like water off a duck. But pay attention to what else you're losing. Are you becoming less empathetic? Are you finding it harder to connect with people who haven't been through this process? Are you starting to see normal human emotions as weakness? This is the crossroads where you either become a machine or learn to integrate your new capabilities with your humanity. The choice you make here determines whether you become a leader or a sociopath. Month 3 is about integration. You need to learn how to turn this power on and off deliberately. You need to master the art of being selectively vulnerable. Practice emotional switching. In high-stress situations, activate your override. Become cold, calculating, and efficient. But when you're with loved ones, consciously choose to let your guard down. Allow yourself to feel joy, sadness, fear, and love fully. This requires incredible mental discipline. It's much easier to stay numb all the time than to consciously choose when to be vulnerable. But this is what separates elite performers from sociopaths. Start teaching others. Share what you've learned. Help people who are where you used to be. This keeps you connected to your humanity while reinforcing your own growth. The final test is crisis management. When life throws you a real curveball, when genuine unexpected stress hits, you'll discover whether this training actually worked. If you can maintain clarity and performance while everything around you is falling apart, you've succeeded. But remember, this isn't a destination, it's a way of life. Your nervous system will always try to revert to its comfort zone. You'll need to continue challenging yourself, or you'll lose what you've built. Here's what you can expect if you actually follow through. Within 30 days, you'll notice that situations that used to overwhelm you feel manageable. Within 60 days, you'll find yourself volunteering for challenges that others avoid. Within 90 days, you'll be the person others turn to when things get difficult. But you'll also notice that you've become different from most people. You'll have less tolerance for complaining, less patience for excuses, less sympathy for self-imposed limitations. This can be isolating. The people who knew you before might not understand the person you've become. Some relationships will end, some friendships will fade. This is the price of growth. But you'll also attract new people, people who operate at your level, people who understand that strength isn't given, it's forged, people who respect power because they've earned it themselves. Your career will change, your relationships will change. Your entire life will reorganize around this new version of yourself. The question isn't whether this works. The question is whether you have the discipline to see it through when every fiber of your being wants to quit. Most people will watch this video and do nothing. They'll make excuses about not having time, not being ready, or needing to think about it more. These are the same people who will complain about their lives for the next decade. A few will start and quit after a week when it gets uncomfortable. They'll convince themselves it's not worth it or that they're not built for this kind of challenge. But a rare few will push through. They'll embrace the discomfort, chase the challenge, and emerge as fundamentally different people. The choice is yours. You can close this video and go back to your predictable patterns of stress and reaction. Or you can start today and begin the process of becoming unstoppable. But understand this clearly. Once you start, there's no going back to being ordinary. There's no returning to making excuses. There's no more hiding behind your limitations. You'll either become the person who thrives under pressure, or you'll prove to yourself that you're not ready for that level of power. The decision is yours. Make it wisely.